5 years. There's such a huge discrepancy there. It just didn't really make a lot of sense, especially when you think about someone like Kalief Browder, who was, spent 3 years in prison as a 16-year-old for taking a knapsack, 2 years in solitary confinement, and he was never found guilty of anything, and then got out and committed suicide, a 16-year-old black kid. So when I think about the disparity in sentencing, it really sickened me. I don't know what the judge was thinking, but we've got to do something about our system and the racial disparity in sentencing.
Well, I guess he was thinking, I identify. He's a white guy, I'm a white guy. We both like Trump, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
But it was just a prime example of that disparity.
Even the politics, take the politics out. I think this was just a wake-up call to everybody. If, you don't think that there is a screwy system in some of these cases, this is the perfect example of that. And the list goes on of cases, people that spend their life behind bars, moms of 6 kids that were, charged for nonviolent drug offenses.
We had one here.
We had one here. We talk about this all the time on the show. And what bothered me about when he came out yesterday is he had zero remorse. He said, actually, I'm humiliated. I hope you show me sympathy. And I thought, well, I'm humiliated that you're only going to prison for 4 years for working and hiding millions of dollars working with Russians. If anything, that's a signal to people who are also doing dirty work of like, oh, I'll just get a slap on the wrist. I'm just going to go to prison for a few years. So what's the problem?
Does this have anything to do with McConnell trying to stack the courts with conservative judges, do you think? Because this is an example of where they will be judging people.
Well, no. I mean, look at the White House has actually done some good work on criminal justice reform. So I don't think you could make the argument. Yes.
Yeah, that's what Van Jones was speaking about at CPAC.
Yes, this White House
You laugh, but look at Van Jones and the things he said about prison reform. That's not my issue with this. Paul Manafort was always a really bad guy. His lobbying firm was known as the torture lobby because they had a propensity for spinning foreign dictatorships for years and years and years. So he was someone that I think when he became President Trump's campaign manager, those of us who come from political circles, he is not someone anyone would touch with a 10-foot pole because of his nefarious past. So when he had such a high-level position, it automatically sounded off a lot of alarms. He actually was forbidden from having anything to do with the 2008 Republican National Convention because of concerns over his associations with Russian oligarchs. So he's always been a really bad guy. I always thought he would end up in jail. I thought for longer as well. But I think actually working for Trump ended up putting him in jail faster because it brought so much attention to who he is.
Which is such a good point, and I think it's so shameful that this guy got away with defrauding the government of millions for years and years and years. But for the scrutiny that came from working for Trump, he would have gotten away with it, and he did for decades.
And don't you think if Trump
you try not paying your taxes, you try defrauding, the taxes for $100.
If Trump hadn't run for president, he would have gotten away with all this stuff he's doing too.
Will Trump pardon him? Is that on the table?
Well, that's another discussion.
Well, Trump tweeted about it this morning.
But his own family, like the Manafort family, his daughter actually changed her last name from Manafort and is quoted as saying that her father had taken blood money. So I do agree, if you're taking blood money from Russian oligarchs and from Ukrainians for propaganda purposes, and among all the other, by the way, Saudi Arabia, Kenya, Nigeria, the list goes on and on for dictatorial governments, he should be rotting in jail for the rest of his life. And I think we're all in collective agreement.
My guess is, he's going to be facing Judge Amy Berman Jackson, and that's going to be in D.C.
And that's for witness tampering, right?
Right, and it's March 13th, and there's 2 conspiracy counts in front of her. She's the same judge that slapped Roger Stone with that gag order. I think she's going to be a much less sympathetic judge, and he's facing 10 years in front of her.
Which is the other point. Remember, this guy, this guy was supposed to be cooperating with the investigation, and he was lying even during the investigation.
I know.
So, this sentence is just inexplicable. It is immoral.
And I think that the moral of this whole story is you wonder how many others are out there doing the same type of work that don't ever get caught, that don't ever get punished.
But there's also like something here that it sets this precedent which was where the paradigm shift have to happen in politics, which I think especially Abby and Anna can attest to this, that there were people that would work for Trump that wouldn't work for anyone else, or that Trump would hire that no one else would hire.
He enjoys hiring people like this.
And it's interesting that the chicken, because I always think he gets away with everything, and the chickens have sort of come home to roost. At least in the case of Paul Manafort.
Let's take a break. When we come back, is Joe Biden about to announce he's running against Trump? But as we go to break, Annie Lennox is going viral with this International Women's Day in a video where she calls for global feminism and points out the problems that women around the world still face to this day. So we could be just days away from a game changer in the 2020 race for the White House. Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, you know who he is? He talks like me. He has my voice.
I didn't realize that.
He does. He has my voice. Anyway, he said he's decided not to run for president, and DC insiders say they think it's because Joe Biden is about to announce. You know, because Joe and Sherrod are both like moderate Democrats. Am I right? They're not real lefties. Those
Appeal
two.
to blue collar.
They appeal to the blue collar vote, which Trump got. I know a lot of Obama voters were blue collar too. So in the general election, do you think that Biden can go up against Trump? You know, he'll call him names. He'll call him crazy old Joe or something, and Biden has to say, well, okay, President Bone Spurs. You know, it'll be like that. what do you think will happen in the election with Biden?
I got to tell you, I can't wait. I think, for me, Joe Biden is the anti-Trump.
Yeah.
Right? He is actually capable of human emotion. He can empathize. He has spent his entire life serving in government, not making money. It's been all about service. He has been with the same wife forever and a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is coherent. He can put out a sentence that's got a verb and a noun, and it's nothing. He knows the globe. He knows where different countries are. He can actually point to countries and say, he probably knows how to spell Venezuela all by himself.
Yeah.
All by himself.
I can't wait for Biden to run.
But they say he has baggage.
Yeah.
Biden.
Yeah, but
who doesn't?
I don't know. I mean, after Trump, I mean, he can't claim Trump. He can't claim the moral high ground.
No.
And so I don't think any baggage he has matters. I also think, I mean, it's anecdotal, but we've had people in the audience that are moderate Republicans, and we've asked them at the break, you know, would you vote for? That's true, rarely.
Don't be bitter.
But it's anecdotal. But they've said I would vote for Joe Biden, and so he's someone that I think appeals to independents. He
camp.
appeals to moderate
I mean,
Republicans.
I'm a pretty moderate person.
Yeah, he's a very
You would vote for
appealing
Biden?
person.
And some,
Against who? Against
well,
Trump
I think
only.
it's going to be really interesting to see what lane he goes in and how he channels himself, because a lot of the candidates so far have agreed to universal health care, free education, signed on with the new Green New Deal. What I will say, because I spent a lot of time in 2016 traveling the country and talking to voters, and my takeaway was that there was a lot missed about the mood of the country in polls and what the media was talking about. And I think what Joe Biden could do really well is he understands the mood of this country. He's not going to spend his time tweeting AOC. I think he understands the blue-collar workers. I think you're right. He has empathy. He has feelings. And so if there's anyone that can be successful, and I hope that he stays more in the moderate lane, because he can attract the middle of the country.
What will happen in the primaries? I mean, that is really the question. I mean, are the lefties in the primary going to go after him? And is that going to split the party?
Joe's
What
the
happens
only
then?
one. Joe's the only one I think that can be the adult in the room and say, do you guys want to win the primary or do you want to beat Trump?
But
he
no,
wants
but
to
the
win the
question
general
is-
election.
And that is the question, though. But there's an old adage that, and I'm going to mess this up, but Republicans get in line, Democrats get an ideology, and I think that the purity test is a real thing for liberals and Democrats right now. And whether we like it or whether
The purity test.
meaning that right now, I would still say that the new incumbent congresswomen like AOC are leading the party in a very specific direction, which is not a traditional Democratic direction in the vein of a Joe Biden.
Well, you know,
So
I
if it
disagree
ends
with
up-
that.
Yeah,
I have
I
to
do
say,
too.
I think that they get a lot of publicity, but it seems like Nancy Pelosi is leading the
Is the
party
leader.
right now.
But
Yeah.
I think it shows I think she is being pulled in a direction. I think she's doing the best. I think I conceded on the show that she was much more powerful than I had given her credit for originally. But I do think when it comes to primary challenges, we are going to see what this party is. And I know for people like you, Joy, and correct me if I'm wrong, you want to win. You want to
yeah.
win. You want to beat Trump.
Oh,
so the
yeah.
question is,
Joe
will you be
Biden,
willing
Joe
to?
Piscopo, Joe
But-
anybody.
Will you be willing to? But will you be willing to hedge?
Joe Behar, my ex-husband. I don't even
Will you be willing to hedge? Like, let's say he hypothetically came out against the Green New Deal, and I don't speak for him. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
But if he did that, are you still okay? There are certain topics that I don't think that he will go, and I'm just pontificating on speculation that he wouldn't go full left on. Would someone like you still be comfortable with that?
Yes, because there's a poll.
Well, I was asking Joy directly.
But that I would be comfortable with voting if he goes.
She would vote for Megan Cactus over Trump.
It's true.
I will vote for anybody who goes up
And
against
most people will
Trump.
agree with you because there's a Monmouth poll
I think
that
he's
says
just horrendous.
Oh, I know.
You know that.
But I also think that I hope I hope that's what happens, because I will be interested to see which ends up happening, is ideological purity or beating Trump. And that is and you have to trust me and Abby, because we're the ones that spend the most time in red states.
Yeah.
No shade.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you go too far left, I'm telling you, and we want, by the way, if Trump wins, I want on repeat all the warnings we've given.
But very quickly, there's a Monmouth poll. 56, there's a 56% majority said they would rather vote for a Democrat they don't agree with on most issues who would be stronger against Trump, compared with 33% who would choose a candidate they agree with more but would be weaker against Trump
Well, maybe
in November
it would be the
2020.
Joy Behar voter.
But Sonny, again,
What about if they say
That's
that
the
they're
poll.
both too old? They are both old.
I hate ageism.
I hate that.
Well,
I hate it.
Yeah,
But
you
Joe
hate
also-
it.
I don't think they're going to care.
People talk
don't
about
think they're
Joe
gonna care.
Biden's age a lot.
It's ridiculous.
Guys, it's not like he's running against The Rock. He's running against Donald Trump.
Someone
Put them both on a
similar age.
treadmill.
That's
Whomever's
true.
still alive can
That's
win.
true. Also, we got to put that away. I don't like that. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden is fit, and Trump. Gotta go. Coming up, why one iconic Hollywood director is publicly trashing Oscar winner Cher. Yes, how dare he? We'll talk about that next. Very famous director Peter Bogdanovich was asked to name the most difficult person he worked with, and his answer was Cher. Can you believe it? Not Marlon Brando. No. Usually they say Barbara Streisand, poor girl, because she's talented and she wants the best. They say she's difficult, but he claimed that she doesn't like men. Cher doesn't like men. She likes gay men, I know that. And they like her. He said that she can't act. And she only won the Best Actress at Cannes for Mask because he shot her well. Oh, what a
She won an
narcissist.
Oscar.
Right. She won an Oscar for Moonstruck, and she was nominated for Silkwood. So how does he explain that?
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't know who the hell that guy is, but I sure as hell know who Cher is.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know who that is. I know who Cher is.
I don't know how
He
anybody...
directed two great movies. One of them is The Last Picture Show, which you should check out, with Sybil Shepherd. Beautiful movie.
Good.
And Moon, what's the name of that movie? What's it called?
See, no one can even remember.
Paper Moon.
Paper Moon.
Oh, that was good
Great
too.
movie.
Yeah, but Cher's an icon. There's a Broadway show about her right now.
Yeah.
All I know is
I know.
I went to. I
But
went
he's
to a-
saying she can't act.
I don't think,
Iconic doesn't
I think she has
necessarily
an
mean
Oscar,
acting.
and she's amazing.
You know what? I went to a Cher show when I was younger, and I'll never forget that experience as a young girl.
Really?
She was inspirational to everyone there, but especially someone of my age who was like, look at that woman on that stage. Look what she can do. To say she's not talented?
That she
Who
can't
are
act.
you?
He didn't say
Who
she couldn't
are
sing.
you?
She has an Oscar.
Not only that, but listen, I don't know how anybody who saw Cher slap the bejesus out of Nicolas Cage on Moonstruck would dare.
Snap out of it.
She can't.
Snap out of it, Peter.
Well, if anyone knows her story, I mean, when she was with Sonny Bono, he really took advantage of her. She was a big part of their success. He took a lot of money from her, a lot of the song rights, a lot of the music.
Really?
She had to leave him penniless. And I think she then, when she had to rebuild her career, took control of her career. And perhaps that is one of the things he's reacting to, that she became this empowered, really strong woman. And on International Women's Day, I think a lot of the women in the audience can relate to that. When you become this really strong woman, there are men that can't handle
But
that.
she says she hates men. Maybe she just hated him.
Maybe she just hated him, and maybe he hated the fact that she was this empowered person that wouldn't let him treat her in a certain way.
You know, if you don't follow Cher on Twitter, you should. I mean, this woman is the queen of the emojis and the queen of the clapback. So some guy said to her, aren't you a little old to be prancing around the stage in that outfit? And she said, I don't know. Why don't you go ask Mick Jagger?
Right. Okay, before we go out of this block, people here in New York, if you're looking for something to do, I went to see a play last night at the Cherry Lane Theater by my friend Matt Williams, who created Roseanne. Oh. Yeah, so he's really talented. There he is. It's called, and you won't believe the topic. I really can't say the title.
Oh,
It says, Actually, We're Blanked. Fill in the word.
Okay.
Actually, we're blanked. Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at the Cherry Lane Theater. It's all about what's going on in the world right now, and they were just great. So go
How
see
long
that.
is it on?
It's just started. I went to opening night.
Okay.
And
You stayed the
it's
whole
only an
time.
hour and a half, no intermission, and really funny at the Cherry
Thanks for
Lane.
inviting us, Joy.
Till
Yeah.
April, someone just started.
I know,
What'd you
right?
say?
Thanks for inviting us,
Joy.
I was invited. I can't bring everybody along with me. You know, these girls, they want
come as
everything.
a
They want my blood.
I know. We come as a package deal.
And you know what? Peter Bogdanovich would look really bad in a Bob Mackie dress. I'm just saying. I'll be right back.
About this great campaign called The Magic of Storytelling. Now through March 31st, for every shelfie taken, which is a selfie taken with a book and then posted to Twitter for Instagram with hashtag Magic of Storytelling, Disney and ABC will donate one book up to 1 million books to the organization First Book that gets new books to educators and kids in need. This is a phenomenal campaign that really helps kids fall in love with the magic of reading. We aren't just asking you at home to take shelfies. We ask some of our View friends as well. So take a look.
This is my favorite book, The Sun Also Rises. I liked it because it's actually true. And it's a good book.
My favorite book is Quackenstein Hatches a Family.
My favorite book is Under the Banner of Heaven by John Krakauer.
This is one of the best books I have ever read, and I will love it to the end of my life. It's called Mistress Masham's Repose by T.H. White. It's a great adventure story.
I'm here with one of my favorite authors, Roxane Gay. I heard this book is amazing, so it's next up on my list. Support her, support books, support Black women.
These are our favorite books, Charlotte's Web.
And Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, so get out and read.
Oh, wait. Oh, shit, everybody's push in.
I'm not in this. Are you kidding me? There's no room for my head. Look how big I look. That's crazy. All right, get out. This is I'm having a panic attack. Get out. The magic of storytelling.
Well, we wanted to make sure you knew about some of our favorite books, so I'll start with mine. It's The Wedding by Dorothy West. It's one of the gems of the Harlem Renaissance. She was just such a gem. It was Dorothy's last novel. It was published in 1995. Jackie O was her editor. She begged her to write it. It takes place on Martha's Vineyard in the 1950s. It explores the themes of history, race, and class, and all of those themes and the characters all crash together at a wedding. Who doesn't love a wedding? Joy, what was one of your favorites? Yes.
Oh, I picked 9 Stories by J.D. Salinger because when I was in high school, I discovered J.D. Salinger, Catcher in the Rye. But I don't know if people realize he wrote other books.
Yeah.
And this is not that many because he was basically a recluse, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the most famous stories in here is called A Perfect Day for Banana Fish, and it's very tragic but funny. Oh. And that's what I love. And also the other thing is there's a cache waiting of more Salinger stuff that's coming out. So wait for that.
Wait for that one too,
Yeah.
Hannah. Your book choice.
100 Years of Solitude. This is Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who is one of my favorite authors, though I didn't agree with him politically, but man, the guy can write. He is, you know, the genre is Latin American surrealism, and it's just the story of a family, the Buendia family in the town of Macondo. Everything is crazy. So really, and it always makes me think about just how surreal what we're living through is right now. But go read this because it's better in fiction than in reality.
That's a brilliant book.
Abby, you're up.
All right, quickly, Maria Shriver, who I've read all of her books, she wrote one later on in her years. She's a mom now. She's been through a divorce, an affair. She's lost parents. She talks about being at ease with yourself, accepting yourself, loving other people. So I have it on my bedside table. It's one of those you can read just in a day, but whenever I've had a rough day, I just open it up and I just pick a chapter, and it just inspires you, reminds you what matters in life.
Right now.
Yeah, I love this book.
Megan?
Mine is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. The Old Man, yes, I think many of you, it's a classic. It's about the story of Santiago, who's an old Cuban fisherman who hasn't brought in a catch for months, and then finally on the 85th day, he gets a giant marlin, and it's a story about human existence, overcoming adversity, mortality. It reminds me of my father, and I really love it. So, and it's the shortest book of everyone. So,
Yeah.
let's get out
And it's a wonderful book. For more information on the magic of storytelling, check out our website. And if you want to get in on the action, take a selfie right now, well, shuffie, now with your favorite book and post it with the hashtag magic of storytelling, and be sure to tag The View. Who knows? Maybe you'll end up on the show or on one of our social media platforms. We'll be right back.